You gave them the iPad. Maybe it bought you 30 minutes to shower, make a call, or just sit somewhere quiet. And for a while, it worked perfectly. They were calm, focused, happy even. And then you said the words, "Okay, time's up." And the child who was, moments ago, completely peaceful, transforms, screaming, crying, throwing themselves on the floor, grabbing for the device, telling you this is the worst day of their life. And quietly, a darker thought creeps in. Is my child addicted? Did I do this? Are screens rewiring their brain in ways I can't undo? I want to answer all of those questions today, because what is happening in your child's brain when you take that screen away is not a behavior problem. It is not a character flaw. It is not your fault. It is neuroscience. And once you understand it, you will know exactly what to do about it. All right, to understand the iPad meltdown, we need to understand dopamine. Dopamine is a neurotransmitter, a chemical messenger in the brain. You've probably heard it called the pleasure chemical, but that's not quite accurate. Dopamine is more precisely the anticipation chemical. It is what your brain releases in response to the expectation of reward, and it is the engine behind almost every compelling human behavior, from eating to social connection to falling in love. Screens, and specifically the apps and content designed for children, are extraordinarily effective dopamine triggers. Consider what your child experiences during screen time. Unpredictable rewards, bright colors, movement, music, characters responding to their touch, levels to beat, videos that autoplay the next episode before the credits have even finished. In a child's brain, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for self-control, is still under construction. They simply don't have the biological brakes to handle a sudden emotional crash. What looks like a tantrum is actually neurological distress. It's not a performance to manipulate you. It's a physical reaction to a brain that has lost its balance and doesn't know how to fix it. Here's the good news. Your child's brain is incredibly resilient. This isn't permanent damage. It's just a nervous system that hasn't learned how to downshift yet. Think of it like an athlete's heart rate staying high after a sprint. It just needs a little help and time to return to its resting state. Because of neuroplasticity, every time you help them navigate this downshift calmly, you are actually helping them build a stronger, more regulated brain for the future. Neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman describes this pattern as the dopamine trough, the low that follows any artificially elevated high. And in children whose regulation systems are still forming, that trough hits harder and longer than it does in adults. This is why your calm child becomes unreachable. Their brain is not misbehaving. Their brain is recovering. I want to stay on this point for a moment because I think it is one of the most important things a parent in the digital age can understand. The apps and platforms your child uses were not designed by people who were thinking about your child's well-being. They were designed by people whose job was to maximize engagement, time on screen, return visits, emotional investment. And children are the most vulnerable audience in the world for this kind of design. Former Google design ethicist Tristan Harris, who spent years inside the technology industry before becoming one of its most prominent critics, has described children's apps as slot machines in the hands of 3-year-olds. The variable reward schedules, the autoplay functions, the notification sounds, the progress bars, and unlockable characters, these are all techniques borrowed directly from gambling psychology, applied to products marketed to children as educational tools. Wait, this does not mean screens are evil. It does not mean you are a bad parent for using them. It means you are parenting in an environment where some very sophisticated technology is working at enormous scale to make your child want more and to make leaving harder. Understanding that is not about fear, it is about power. Because when you know how the system works, you can work with your child's brain instead of fighting it every evening at 6 o'clock. And now, let's move from the science to the solution. Since we know this is a biological crash, we need a strategy that manages the brain, not just the behavior. Here are 5 practical steps to bridge the gap and help your child transition smoothly back to the real world. Step 1. The low-stakes warning. Don't just shout, "5 minutes left," from the kitchen. Walk over, put a hand on their shoulder, and make eye contact. You want to gently pull them out of the screen trance and back into the physical room. This gives the prefrontal cortex a moment to wake up before the plug is pulled. Step 2. The bridge question. Before the time is up, ask a question about what they are watching. Who is that character? Or what level are you on? By doing this, you're entering their world. This builds a bridge that allows them to transition from the digital world back to reality with you, rather than feeling like they are being ripped away from something important. Step 3. Physical agency, the off switch. Whenever possible, let them press the button. There is a huge neurological difference between having something taken from you and choosing to end an activity. Giving them the power to turn it off helps reduce the feeling of being out of control, which is a major trigger for meltdowns. Step 4. The dopamine handoff. The brain is craving stimulation. Don't expect them to go from a high-octane iPad game to sitting quietly at the dinner table. Offer a sensory bridge, something physical or high engagement, a quick race to the door, a snack with a strong crunch, or a big bear hug. You are replacing the digital dopamine with a physical grounding sensation. Step 5. Name the feeling. Validation. When the grumbling starts, don't argue with logic. Instead of saying, "You've had enough," try, "I know, it's really hard to stop when you're having fun. Your brain feels a bit grumpy right now, doesn't it?" By maiming the dopamine trough, you help them understand their body's reaction, turning a moment of conflict into a moment of connection. These steps won't work like a magic switch tonight, but they will rewire the habit over time. By working with the brain's natural architecture, instead of crashing head-on into it, you're teaching your child how to regulate themselves long after the screen is turned off. Here is the single most important reframe I want you to leave with today. Your child is not falling apart when you take the iPad away because you spoiled them. They are not falling apart because they have no discipline, or because screens have ruined them, or because you gave them too much and now you're paying the price. They are falling apart because a very sophisticated piece of technology just flooded their brain with a chemical that their underdeveloped nervous system is not yet equipped to come down from gracefully, and they need your help to land. That is not a discipline conversation. That is a biology conversation. And once you see it that way, the frustration shifts. Not disappears, but shifts. Because you're no longer fighting your child, you're standing beside them, helping them through something genuinely hard. Tell me now in the comments which of the 5 steps you're going to try first. I read every single one. If this helped you see your child differently, like the video and subscribe for more insights like this. Because when you understand the behavior, you stop fighting it and start guiding it.